Hey, it works! Apparently just closing it and reopening it is incredible. Okay, we're back. I apologize for the delay. It's cool. I had to cut the video anyway. No problem. So, now that we are back, the three of you, with Vi and Vi and Chester, doing some little disguise work and trying to remain unnoticed, and Farron not having any reason to do that, which he's totally correct. He has no reason to care. You all begin to make your way down to the house where the Thieves Guild was, and this is the third time you'll be going to see them. And if you recall, they move frequently between different houses. So every time that you've seen them, they haven't been in the same place. So I think that you arrive at like the former place where you had originally seen them, and there's a message, obviously, in the equivalent of thieves' cant that is written, right? There's a cipher of some sort that tells everyone like where their next location is that knows it. And you were given the cipher, obviously, Farron, because you're a friend of them. And so, after arriving there and seeing that, and then moving back, or headed off to the next location actually brings you over to like the crafting area, over in the crafting district over here. So you have to go like you get all the way over there, like you're 15-minute, 30-minute walk to get over there, and you get there and you realize you got to walk like 30 more minutes, basically back in the other direction you just came. And
I gets really tired of walking and starts complaining the entire way back.
Absolutely, yeah. So Farron, you get there and you're like, do you give him like a rundown of like how to act, right? Like, hey, you can't just kill these guys or whatever. Is there a conversation that's had before you arrive? Because like you're bringing new people into like your world, right?
Yeah, I'd probably say to Chester, try not to stab anyone in here in the throat, alright?
It's not. They're good people, right? They're your friends. They're good people. It's fine. It's fine. My next stabbing knife isn't with me today anyway.
So we head in.
Okay. So yeah, so you guys, you get, like, the conversation happens, like, as you're arriving at the old location, then you realize you gotta go to the new location, and then Vi starts complaining, obviously.
Chester offers to piggyback ride Vi the whole way there.
Oh my god, I totally take him up on that.
So Farron, now you're traveling with this comedic group of individuals. I'm sure it doesn't bother you in the least.
This stack of murderers.
Yeah, this literal stack of murderers. So, yeah, you guys arrive in the crafting district, and you arrive at like an old kind of abandoned smithy. It hasn't obviously been like renovated or maintained in quite some time, but this is the location that you were like given. And when you arrive there, you notice that the door is actually like there's no door on it. It's like slid open because it's like a big like sliding door. It's actually like slid open, and you can see like in it, and it's got that kind of thing where there's light streaming in from like the cracks in the roof and the walls, and you can just see the dust like floating in the air through these streams of light, that kind of ambiance. And think if you've ever seen Pirates of the Caribbean, the first one, it's like the scene where Jack and what's Orlando Bloom's character's name, where they have that first fight in that smithy, and there's like the dust and the streaming light in and etc. There's no donkey though. Will, thank you. There's no donkey though that turns a device. Unfortunately, it was probably slaughtered for meat at some point. So you guys arrive in here, and you maybe you walk in and you don't see anything immediately. So what do you do when you arrive at this location, and it appears that like maybe you got it wrong, Farron, or maybe there's a secret to how to get where they are? What do you do?
I think I would call out something quite inconspicuous, like, "Boy, I really like the Highlands this time of year."
Right, yeah. The hey, I'm here. Sure. You don't get a response when that happens.
Okay, I look around, see if there's any signs of fighting or they've left in a hurry.
No, doesn't seem like that. But roll me an investigation check.
Investigation. Flat D20.
Okay. I mean, you look around, it looks like there's been foot traffic through here, but it's all kind of hard to read. But it was like a decent amount of time ago that there was foot traffic through here. Not like recently. Probably not today, maybe last night or something. But it's hard to read, it's all kind of trampled. There's no like clear direction that it follows.
Well, this sucks.
I thought you knew where we were going, Farron. Where are we supposed to be?
Well, we're supposed to be here. It's just there, not here.
So either you read it wrong, which I'm going to believe is probably true, or something happened to them.
God, would I ever get something wrong?
Vi starts counting on her fingers the number of times that you've got something wrong.
Alright, it was a rhetorical question, but I personally agree with the latter. You know, a lot has happened over the past few days.
Well, maybe they left us another message. Maybe we should look around.
Okay. So, Vi, do you want to roll an investigation check? See what you can figure out about this location?
Sure.
What's Chester doing during all this as well?
I'm just following by. I'm kind of tired after the walk here.
After carrying me the whole way.
What the bold adventurer says at the beginning of the adventuring day.
Oh my
Whenever
God.
he's around Vi, he pretends to be like super fine, but out of sight, he's like super exhausted and heavy.
Panting, like leaning up against a pillar that's in the room. Yeah, it's great.
Exactly.
It's pretty awesome. So Vi, I think that you actually get distracted, obviously, by like the weird like kind
Chester's following me too closely behind, and like it's cramping my style.
Like you walk over something and then you turn around to like see what it was again, and Chester has already like kicked it up or like moved it around or whatever. So you get frustrated and then you're not able to focus anymore. Chester, do you also want to roll an investigation check, see what you can find out?
Sure.
Go for it.
We have inspiration.
True. Everybody has inspiration.
Oh, that would be useless for Chester, yeah.
Oh my God, we're so bad. We're the worst detectives ever.
Yeah, you guys are really not the best detectives. So yeah, something is off.
We have like an idiot
obviously.
savant like award at some point or something.
Right, something is off. Farron, you're like 99.9% certain this is the place. This is the place that you were led to. However, whatever, either they have moved, or they never came here, or there's some other trick about this area that the three of you, even combining together, can't figure out. I mean, you have a couple other options available, right? Like, you could leave them a message and be like, hey, tried to stop by, didn't see ya, get back with me here, or something. Or if you suspect something is like something foul happened to them, perhaps going back to the other place and searching that area, like, maybe that'll help. Or generally trying to just do a kind of like a broad scope, try and see what's going on. Like scout the area, right? Like, I wonder where thieves hang out. Okay, well, let's go to the merchant district and see if there's anybody working, quote unquote, working today, right? And if they are, let's meet with them and let's see. Be like, hey, you know, we were looking around and we were a little confused about what's going on. That's obviously an option to you. But yeah, you guys are unable to figure out the secret about this location. Or you could go retrieve some of your other compatriots and they could give it a shot, of course.
Well, I think this was a job set for us, so... Well, I'm pretty sure this is the right place, so how about if we see if anybody's still around town?
I'm going to leave a message first, and then we can go.
Aye, that's... Cover all bases.
Okay. So Vi, what do you leave in your message, and how do you leave it? Is probably the more important question.
So is there like hay or like a rug or something on the floor here?
Yeah, there's probably some leftover like stale hay that was in the corner.
Okay, I would take that, kind of weave it together a little bit, like
Sure.
So it's kind of like stiffer and slightly more like obvious than just like hay lying around, and
Right.
kind of. I assume there's some symbols and things that thieves use in general to like.
Well, yeah,
that's not like a full sentence. So I would leave something along the lines that just says, "Looking for information. Leave a message here, if you know anything."
You leave him a hay mail.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, cool. I apologize to everyone who just had to listen to that, but it was too easy. So yeah, you
It's
leave
kind
him,
of amazing.
you leave him your hay mail, and then the group of you depart. So are you gonna go like I said? Are you gonna go to like scope the working areas?
Yeah, I think where would we go, and then let's go there.
Okay. Yeah, so you got a couple of options, right, available to you. Things like I said, the merchant district, or like some of the gambling dens would be a good option.
That's what I was thinking.
Right, yeah. You could
That's
definitely
kinda my
find,
thing.
like, that would be your thing, right, Vi? That would find a gambling den and see if there's anybody there that may be quote-unquote working or hustling, as it were. You guys, as the master of the hustle, would be able to pick up on that fairly quickly. Or, like, just in general, some of the darker, seedier areas. And, you know, you could always just put Chester out there with some gold in a very visible pouch and see who tried to accost him.
I love
That's kind
how
of small time, though. I mean, come on.
Right, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
But
I also love how Chester
every
is the bait.
option- Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's not my issue. My
Every
issue is that we're going to
scenario.
get some little kid who's going to try to steal from him, and we're like, not going to be able to do anything about it.
Kill the kid.
Right, yeah, kill the kid. That's
We've had enough dead kids on the show recently.
No,
Can we
There is
not?
no such thing
Please,
as
thank you.
enough dead kids. So,
I
We
can
get
make
a
some-
cardboard box. We put just lean it up. We put Chester inside.
put Emmett notes and Reese's Pieces out in
Yep,
front of
there you go.
Ooh, piece of candy.
Put Chester inside, and then you just pull the string when
Yeah,
the assassins
it works
come
every
by,
time.
and then they'll
Done.
just be trapped. And then you can just slide a plate or something, like a steel like metal or a board, like a wooden board. Just slide it underneath the box, and then just walk it over to the river and just dump it, and everything should be fine. It's like getting rid of spiders.
Ugh, spiders.
Oh, you don't like spiders?
Love them.
No, I love spiders. They are my favorite of insects.
They
I love
they're
using
wrecked.
spiders. I actually had a character one time who argued to become immune to spider venom because he kept getting poisoned every single time. So eventually, after about like 2 weeks in game, he built up a small immunity to it.
Sounds reasonable.
That's because that's how many spiders I used.
two
All right, well,
weeks
later,
for
guys.
immunity.
It's been nice, having a game with you all.
Well,
but
Megan's never going to play in the campaign again. Congratulations. I've done it. Eventually, I'm just going to drive you all away with your phobias.
I I have no fears.
If you hurt Ninetales, I'll kill you.
Right, yeah. You must have missed the joke earlier when I said that's totally the next enemy that you're going to face.
Please don't.
Which,
Don't worry, I'll
by the
put it
way,
in the ground.
small tangent, Liam, I need to know what your favorite Generation 1, original 151, your favorite Pokemon out of that whole group. Go.
Well, see, I'm afraid to tell you for a variety of reasons now.
Listen, I told everybody you shouldn't be afraid. I may give them to you as pets. See?
Yeah, pets is what you say.
Yeah, that sounds super unlikely, but the answer is Dratini.
Perfect. Cool. Dratini.
Cute.
Dratini is adorable. I'm not gonna lie. I caught one.
If we have to fight a Dratini, I will cut you.
That's great.
Wow.
Don't worry, your sentiments
It's
were
okay.
shared across basically the entire group.
It's okay.
No.
Yeah.
Morella just has
No.
to go cold-hearted, kill everything in her sight.
Caleb will
It's okay.
stop you from killing Ninetales.
You
Ninetales is my
You
bae.
see a group of Dratini, Ninetales,
Again,
Bulbasaur, Snorlax,
As I
Mews,
stated, how many sessions
and
is it going to
Abras.
be until I start killing PCs?
Abra actually just
That's
teleports all of your favorite Pokemon in, and they begin to attack you. Anyway,
Reject.
Abra would be the first to die.
then
No.
Farron would be the first to cry.
And then die afterwards.
Anyway, moving on. Back off that tangent now that I have that recorded in the memory banks. So what was the plan for the three of you? Or we're gonna use Bait Chester, which is always Plan C, right? We always have Plan C of Chester Bait.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Gambling den, or like go to a rich part of town where somebody may be cutting some purses and running some
Vi's
some
vote is
scams.
gambling den, but she's willing to hear other options.
Gambling den has a higher probability of actually finding someone.
Cool. Yeah, so this is where Farron kind of steps to the side and Vi takes the lead, right? Because you basically own that side of town, right? Like when it comes to the gambling dens, that's totally you and totally something that you thrive in, not only just as a person, but also somewhat deeper connection to it than that, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, cool. So I'm gonna make you roll a. Actually, want you to roll a religion check for me. I know you're gonna be super great at these, right? Nice. It's actually real good for you, I
Brilliant.
think, isn't it? Don't you have like a?
About as good as it could go.
With a -2.
You have a -2, and you're proficient in. That's actually incredible. Yeah. So
Lucky.
Vi, I think
One would say.
that through some coincidental happenstances of chance, which you know you know better that nothing is ever luck, right?
Oh yeah, so calculated and perfectly planned. Yep.
Right. Yeah, but through a coincidental and very fortunate happenstances, which seem to happen to you a lot, right? Like that's part of your character, both mechanically
Divinity,
and
one would say.
yeah, both mechanically and also just persona wise.
Does Vi not know she's a cleric?
You.
I
possible,
mean,
to be honest.
that's up for debate, I think.
Fantastic.
She might just think she's extremely lucky. Like, yeah, I just got lucky and disappeared out of sight and phased into the ethereal plane for a minute.
Yep.
That doesn't happen to you sometimes?
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
like-
That's not normal. That doesn't happen to you guys.
Do you not get everything you want by wishing?
Right. Like, I don't. Does that. Okay.
Yeah, I just
Whatever.
I get it. I just kneel down every night and I just wish for things to happen and they just do. It's crazy. It's the craziest
Great.
thing. You feel particularly drawn to a specific location. I think that it's one of those moments where like you're walking through and maybe you've like stopped in one and like you walked into one and it just didn't feel right and you walked back out but you pass by an alleyway and then you feel this tug at like your heartstrings and you stop immediately and Chester and Farron probably have to like stumble and stop before they run into you because that would probably be the end of their lives.
I hold up both my hands and it just clotheslines both of them.
Right, yeah, they just... well, I mean, you're kind of sure they take it in the chest.
More or less.
They start coughing. And yeah, so you poke your head down this alleyway, and you can see that down, like, maybe, like, 20 or 30 feet, there is, like, a door. And you can see, like, a faint light of, like a fireplace kind of flickering out of the tiny little, like, slit in the door. And as you approach, you see there's a large symbol that you recognize, and you know why you recognize it. But the other two, make me religion checks as well, the other two of you. I want to see if you guys can recognize. It's going to be kind of hard for you, though. Much harder than it was for Vi, I will say that.
With a flat D20.
Oh.
There is no religion in
Do you even know what religion is, Farron? Not sure that you do. Chester.
Yeah.
So far, every single skill
religion-
you guys is not proficient in.
Religion's really not a Chester thing.
Are you just going to opt
idea.
to fail in general?
Yeah, he has no clue.
I respect
But you
that.
hang enough with Vi. Well,
I respect the fact that you are telling me that your character would not know even if you were to roll a 20. That's great. I appreciate that. I will remember that. The DM will remember that. Pops in the top left corner of the screen. Yeah, so you have no idea what it is. Vi, it's very clearly, and I'm going to say this because you guys are great players. It's very clearly this is a temple, but your temples are not quite like all the other temples in the world. But if you wanted to find somebody, this is the place, 100%. Because luck has a strange way of working inside of certain temples.
Yeah, Vi like totally just beelines it towards the door, looks up at the symbol, takes like the deepest breath, and it actually like giggles, which is weird for her, and then, you know, proceeds to bust open and or knock on said door.
Yeah, I think that it doesn't actually have a door handle on it, like from the outside. So you're forced to like knock, and through the little slit you see like a pair of eyes come by, and he looks at you, and he says, "State your business."
Vi doesn't state her business, she just holds up her necklace.
Sure, yeah, you hold up her necklace, and you see him, like, behind the door, he, like, nods, like, you just see, like, the eyes dip down a little bit, and the three of you, you hear, like, of, like, multiple locks being undone, and then eventually the door opens inwards, and you hear the creak as it does, and you're opened into this scene. It's an inn, kind of setup, but immediately the sound is what probably assails you first. And strange that you couldn't actually hear it through, like, the little slit in the door, right? Like, all you could see was a little light flickering, but as soon as the door opens, you hear all of this noise and laughter, and there's apparently, like, one would assume there's a large party occurring inside of this venue. And you see that there are tons of dice pits, and there's tons of tables set up for card games, and there's men and women alike, like, dancing in the middle, like, because in the center there's, like, a large dance floor area. They're, like, dancing, and music is playing, and Farron, it's being played fairly well. Like, it's nice, it's upbeat, it's happy, it's cheerful, and this would be like the dream estate for anyone who was probably on like the shadier side of things. And the three of you are granted access, and you can see as the guy closes his door, it's this big, tall, like bouncer-esque figure, and he's completely bald, and he's carrying like a naked scimitar on his side. It doesn't have a sheath or anything; it's just kind of tied there with like a rope belt. And he closes his door, and you see him begin to, like, lock all of the locks again. And there's two bars. There's actually a bar on the right-hand side of the room and a bar on the left-hand side of the room. Then there's, like, around the outsides of the area, there's, like I said, those bunch of dice pits and card tables. There's probably some guys in a corner playing some like version of dominoes and whatever dominoes exists in this world. And then there's in the middle, there's like this big dance floor area where there's people dancing and music being played, etc., etc. But I will remind everyone that it is basically like early to mid-afternoon. And this is all occurring.
This is basically what it looks like inside Vi's brain at all times.
Right. Yeah, Vi, I think you feel... you...
Just so we're all clear.
Yeah, just so everybody is perfectly clear on what's going on in Vi's brain at all times. Yeah, Farron, I think even you probably have never set foot in a place quite like this. It's definitely far different from any of the other gambling dens that exist in, at least that you have visited. Chester, it probably reminds you a little bit of home. I'm sure that you have accompanied Vi to locations such as this before. But it's always been one of those things, like, I don't know how you feel in an environment like this where there's a lot of people and, you know, this is clearly like Vi's home element, but I don't know if it's yours. You can decide that for yourself, obviously.
Oh, it totally is.
Cool. Yeah. You guys do spend a lot of time together. Awesome. So you guys enter, and what's the first thing you do when you guys get in?
Get a drink.
Get a drink.
Sure, yeah. So you guys go... Do you go to the left bar or the right bar?
I'm thinking right.
There we go, to the right.
Okay. So you guys go off to the right bar, and you kind of, like, maybe Farron, you're in tow. What do you think about all this, Farron? Let's get a little glimpse into the mind of Farron.
We've been in the city how long, and I've only just found this place.
Right.
I'm losing my touch.
Right, yeah. It was well hidden. Seemingly only a member of, you know, some society could gain access and even know that it was here. But yeah, cool. So you guys head over to the right-hand bar, and the right-hand bar is where most of like the card tables and other games like I said, that the strange like dominoes games, and the personnel in here as well are varied. You see what are clearly like seafaring folk, which is kind of strange this far inland. Definitely not common to see this far inland, but you know, you can almost smell like the salty breeze that just kind of permeates from their skin at all times. Very like tanned, grizzled, kind of leathery individuals with like salt blown hair, you know, that's kind of straw like. Tons of piercings all up and down their ears, some on their face. There's quite a few like kind of local, what would typically look like, you know, typical empire people. There's most definitely some what we would know as Middle Eastern descent individuals that are playing some games. They're probably playing cards, but it's a strange card game. It's not like poker or any of the common ones. It's clearly something like maybe from their homeland. There's definitely some obvious like individuals from northern part of the world. Farron, you can probably spot some people who look like they're playing a in fact, all of you probably know this. They're playing and you'll have to remind me here, Arkady, what's the name of that chess game that you introduced to the party? Chashki. Yeah, there's probably a couple individuals playing Chashki, which is obviously, you know, a distinctive game from Kislev, right? And yeah, just varied individuals that exist here from all walks of life, all different styles. There's a pretty good mix of men and women, and you don't see any children for somewhat obvious reasons. But there's also quite a few different racial reflections in here as well. Definitely some half-elves. I think there's probably maybe you spot like maybe one hooded figure that's clearly like even with the hood on, you can tell that they are of fairer descent, probably more than just a half-elf sitting in here. You also see probably some individuals who look like they may have a little bit of giant blood in them. sitting at some of the tables. They probably have like 2 chairs that they're sitting on, and everybody's just having a great old time. It's just a giant party in here. So you guys go and you get your drinks, and you're sitting at the bar, and you can see that the bartender, like, he nods and he serves you, you know, what you want. They have a fairly good selection of meads and ales and some wines as well. So what do you guys do after you get your drinks and are in this location?
I just love the picture of Vi and Chester looking like kids in a candy store at this place, and it's to Farron just like the scummiest scummy place that there ever was, but that's fine. Anyway, I think that Vi would down her drink, crack her knuckles, and then head over to the dice tables because that's her game.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. So, Chester, are you gonna like follow suit? Go do your own thing? What are you doing?
Chester used to love playing dice with Vi, and then he learned his lesson.
Right, and then you had no more money.
Yeah, exactly. So Chester's going to stay at this bar for a little bit and ask around for something about the assholes.
Okay, sure. So Farron, you're sitting there, and Vi is like deuces, seemingly abandoning the mission as a whole. And Chester and you probably look at each other and like, well, I guess we should do some work. So what are you doing, Farron? What's your general demeanor, and how do you even attempt to approach a situation like this?
Yeah, I think because obviously I have no idea on anybody in this place. It's probably best if I go over to some of the playing cards area, because I'm fairly adept at card games.
Indeed.
And you know, just make idle chit chat, and then eventually start asking questions once acquaintances have been made.
Okay, cool. So you're gonna go try and schmooze the card players. Vi's gonna go probably win some money at the dice pits, and Chester's gonna ask around to the patrons that appear to be drinking primarily. Cool, awesome. So I think that, you know, you guys will be doing that, and we'll jump back over to some other things that are happening. So Hannibal, you're here, right? I know you said you had to take a break for a minute.
Yeah, I'll tell you. It's probably going to be in the next 30 minutes or so.
Okay, sure. Well then, before that happens, you have a task, and we're backtracking a little bit on time as well. Where are you headed? You're headed to take care of some of your own business, right?
I'm just heading out. Like, I'm looking for a back alley or anything like that.
Yeah.
Specifically near the marketing district.
Sure, yeah. You can totally, like, head over there and
Yeah,
find a secluded location.
Right. As soon as I do that, I take Puck out of my pocket.
Yeah. She looks like she's been mourning for some time. She's got that kind of like puffy-eyed look on her face when you pull her out, and she actually, like, instead of like just flying out of your pocket, she just like lets you pick her up and like hold her out.
So, I want you to answer me straight here. Are you listening?
Yes.
Yes. You do not want to go back into Shaltrice's care, right?
She shakes her head vigorously.
Like up and down or left and right?
That would be nodding. She shakes. No.
So you do not.
No.
What the fuck? So you do?
Well, you asked if she wanted to go back to Saltresa's care, right?
Yeah.
So she said no.
Okay, I don't know why, but that confused me.
It's fine.
Not surprised.
Who's on first?
You're right. Exactly.
So, here's the deal. I need a familiar, and I need to be on good terms with old Shalley.
Yeah, I
Now
think
then,
she
I'm
like
not gonna-
nods. She like nods sadly.
That being said, I'm not going to force you to do what you don't want to do. So I'm going to let you go, and you go do what you want to do. I'll say that you ran off somewhere when I freed you.
She kind of cocks her head like she doesn't understand immediately, but comprehension like slowly like dawns on her face.
If you want, I think you can either You can probably live your life out in this area. No, but it'd probably be better for you to head to a place like Bretonia, where things like you are a little bit more accepted.
Yeah, I think that she looks scared. I think is like she hasn't said anything, but she looks like scared about the entire about what you're like talking about.
Don't be afraid, little one. Life is always about adventures. You're just going on a new one right now. You'll meet other people soon enough. Some will want to help you, some will try to kill you. That's just how it works. Just remember to choose your friends wisely.
I think that she looks at you and like there's like a single tear that falls down her face and she goes, "But you're my friend."
I am your friend. But I can't be your friend right now.
She
Perhaps
like
when this is
her head kind of like sinks down and you can see like these little shining tears dropping.
Puck, I want you to know, no matter what happens, always think about how to survive.
Yeah, and I think that when you say that, her head like rises like a little bit, and she nods like once, like a single like firm nod, and you see she like steals her face, and like her body. She gets into like that, like ready to
Determination
go.
mode.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, are you ready for this?
She really says,
Hey.
"Hold on."
What?
And you feel like she tries to make like a mental connection with you, and I assume you accept it, right?
Yeah.
Because she can't just do it automatically anymore. Because she's not your actual familiar. And you feel a stream of emotions, but the one that stands out the most is love. You feel like you've probably felt it before. Everybody's experienced love at least once in their life, and
Beg to differ.
well,
People should meet Chester.
That's sad for you.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you feel that, and she's essentially what she's doing. Like she's showing you her heart. She's using heart sight on herself, essentially. And then she nods that she's ready. Jackson.
I say, I love you too, you little idiot, and then I throw her straight up in the air.
Okay. Yeah, so she tries to like grab onto something because she wasn't expecting it, right? And she's like trying to flap her wings and maintain her balance.
Yeah. All right. Remember, head to Bretonia. They're a lot more accepting of your kind.
She nods, and I think she blows you a kiss, and she's like, "Bye!"
See ya.
And you see her, like, fly away. And she
Hannibal
fades.
sheds us.
She fades
Hannibal
from sight.
Hannibal sheds a single tear behind his mask as he lets go of a friend that he's known for about 5 years.
Yep.
And then he goes out and buys more rare herbs and ancestors to get his new thing.
I'm excited for Dane.
No, I'm not.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, I'd get those herbs and head back
Okay.
to the bungalow.
Before you summon Dane?
Yeah, no, I'm not going to summon Dane out here.
Okay.
Or you
So
know what? How secluded is this place?
I mean, yeah, you could perform a quick summoning.
Yeah, let's do it then.
Okay. So yeah, so you summon Dane, and like he pops back into existence, right? And he looks around for a moment. He's like, "I would ask that you do not do that any further."
Oh, hey, big girl, how you doing?
Greetings, Hannibal. How can I be of assistance?
Nothing. I need a new familiar. Puck is no longer here.
I am your new familiar. I was
Oh, so
assigned
you're-
to you when Puck was
Oh,
separated.
so you're Dane.
Yes.
God, you sound fucking creepy. Do something about that.
I cannot change the way I was born.
Alright, go invisible and just keep an eye out for things.
You see him, like, he's, like, flying in the air, right? And he, like, gives you a bow and then fades from view.
I think to myself, fucking creepy ass motherfucker.
Yeah. I think that if he was inside of your head at that moment, he would probably say, "You're no fresh breeze yourself."
Yeah, fuck you.
Already a miss.
Right.
Hannibal ain't out to make friends.
Indeed. Cool. So you begin to head back.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. You probably arrive back there, like, right as, like, the messenger's, like, sending off the letter for the other two, right? So the three of you are left with, essentially, the rest of the day to do what you will. Essentially, you're just going to wait for a reply from Lady Appleton?
I'd like to just say to Morella, by the way, Morella, the puck is no more. It's Dane now.
She raises an eyebrow as you say that. Dane, huh?
Fucking creep.
Long as he does what Puck did, doesn't matter.
He'll be fine.
I'd like to leave the city as soon as possible. I'm getting tired of it and all of its problems.
I am as well. Here's Dane.
So, yeah, do you give him, like, permission to introduce himself?
Is Arkady there?
It depends. Arkady, I mean, I assume you guys are all together.
I would kind of assume so.
But I'm showing them Dane. Stop it.
Yes, they saw it.
Here's Dane. Was it the pixie boy?
Yeah. But, so is Arkady there?
Yes?
Okay, then no, I won't show it. I'll just say that.
Sure, yeah. So Arkady, you hear this conversation where they're talking about some individual you've never met before. And also some other individual that you heard briefly the name of and got a bad description of what that person or thing actually was. Is that a conversation you pursue?
I suspect Arkady is more focused on other things, and he's already gotten used to the idea that Morella and Hannibal has some kind of really weird relationship.
Yeah, they're actually it's code for, like, the strange weird shit they get up to.
Exactly.
Got it.
And,
I'll meet
it's
you
their
in your
safe
bedroom
word.
at 7.
Right, it's their safe word, right?
I really hope
Sure.
not, but I prefer not to know.
Cool, awesome. So what are you guys going to do with the rest of the day, right? Are you going to just kind of wait for the others to return? Are you going
I'd like
to
to try
pursue
to
any
just
other
sort of-
goals?
I'd like to just kind of just run basic exercises with him, teach Dane how I want him to grasp onto my hand whenever I want to shake somebody else's.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I think he picks it up fairly quickly. You get the impression that he's very businesslike. Particularly much more than Puck was, right?
This might be a better relationship than I thought.
Yeah, he's very businesslike, but it's also very clear that, like, you know, there were learning curve with Puck too, right? I assume that there was, you know, some stick in the mud kind of things going on when Puck first arrived, but you were the master and you commanded to do things. But, like, I think you've always felt that Puck was, like, yours, right? I think Dane gives off a very different feeling. Dane feels very much like he is doing a job, not being a companion.
That's good.
Right. If that's good, then yeah, absolutely.
But I still don't like him.
Right. Sounds good. Cool. So you're training Dane. What about Morella? Is there anything you want to do, or are you content to just wait for your reply and the others to return?
She wouldn't be content with waiting. No, she would spend her time. Would there be a courtyard of sorts in, like, the back, or, like?
Yeah, of
this
the bungalow. Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
absolutely. There's probably a backyard area.
Yeah, then you would see her extensively train, like she would in the morning, but to a more aggressive degree.
Sure.
Degree at this point.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And and Petrov, what are you doing?
Well, I have one question, but I don't want to get meta on you because you were saying last time that some things might come up in relation to his ambassadorial job soon, and I was just wondering if he has heard anything from his contacts at back at his embassy or consul. Or
for sure.
Like
I was gonna most definitely bring that up at some point, but I just didn't know if there's any personal goals you wanted to work on.
No, unless Morella wants to get a more involved social calendar going up right away. I mean, I imagine he's trying to figure out who else is on the list of people she should talk to while she's here.
Yeah, so I think that, maybe you're reading something, or maybe you're stoking a fire, or maybe you're just wandering around the estate or something. But you're the closest to it because the other two are fairly occupied. And you hear a knocking at the door.
Interesting. I assume that we have some kind of setup that would allow me to see who's at the door without just opening it.
I mean, yeah, for sure. There's probably a viewing port at some point where you could look and see who's outside. It looks like a messenger. He's got a large kind of burlap sack, over his shoulder, and you can see that he's got a horse outside as well. That's also got saddlebags, fairly significant saddlebags on it.
Burlap sack, horse outside. That sounds like a great way to steal a halfling.
Yeah, you're not wrong. The sack looks like it has items in it, though. He'd have to dump all those items.
Other halflings, yeah, gotcha.
Right,
okay.
other halfling parts. Let's be clear here.
Oh, right, yeah, silly me. I think Arkady will first check with Morella and Hannibal if they were expecting anybody. Do you have business or deliveries?
Nope.
Well, I will get that. I'm all the ambassador. I guess I'll open the door.
Sure, yeah. So you open the door.
Put a hand on the lever for the deadly trap set there.
Right, yeah, exactly. The pit trap that you can just pull and they just drop down through the floor.
That sends them to the Batcave.
Right, yeah, it goes straight to the Batcave, and then we hear Kronk saying, or we hear Yzma saying, "Wrong lever!"
Fantastic.
I love it.
I gotta say, I watched that movie the first time I drank whiskey, and I gotta say that was one of the best moments of my life.
Listen, it is one of the best. It's literally one of the best movies, animated movies that's come out in a very, very, very long time.
Indeed.
So yes, I agree with you. Anyway,
What movie?
Emperor's New Groove.
Oh, I love that movie.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, so I think that when you get a better look at him, not through the faded glass, the cloudy glass that you were looking at him through before, he's very clearly like a messenger, and he was clearly expecting to see he's a human, I should mention. He's somewhat pale, got darker eyes and darker hair though. He's probably in his late 20s, so fairly what would be considered slightly before middle age in this universe. Yeah, he's totally a vampire. He sucks all your blood out. And he's clearly like I said, a messenger. But he's clearly looking for a human. And then so you open the door and he looks down briefly, and you see he pulls out like a scroll, and he opens it up and he says, "I'm looking for Arkady Petrov. Do you know him?"
I can take message to him, yes.
Says, "I'm supposed to deliver only to hands of Arkady Petrov. Is he residing in this building?"
Okay. Arkady sighs and produces his credentials.
Sure. Yeah, and I think that it's strange because he doesn't really he obviously he notices you were somewhat lying to him, right? But he doesn't make any passes at it, and he looks at your credentials and he says, I think he scrolls up his scroll again and he slips it back in his back and he goes, "You are a hard man to find. It was a very long journey to Altdorf, only to find out you were not there."
Yeah, the business of the Ice Queen takes me many places.
He goes, "Ice Queen, I am not familiar.
Are you not from the motherland?
Oh, you mean that Ice Queen? I thought you were talking about Marilla.
That's
Unintended burn.
God, I'm just full of them today. It's great.
It's okay. He's rolling
Yeah,
into
but
it.
no, obviously he nods like significantly, and he's like, yes, and me as well. I have been on this journey for many months. Information that I have for you, probably somewhat outdated though.
Yeah. I'm sure it will be valuable nonetheless.
He said, also, my apologies, sir, but it seems that you were attempting to be inconspicuous. I must apologize in advance. I have been saying your name aloud quite often in my search for you. I hope that it will not cause any problems.
I am no covert agent. Fear not.
He nods, like, seemingly relieved, right? Because, like, it's clear you were trying to be covert, like, in this moment, at least. And he feels like he may have blown that, right? Because just imagine all the things he had to do to try and figure out where the hell you went. Right?
I'm looking for a Mr. Bond.
Right, and
James Bond.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. And, like, the other thing is, too, like, you wrote a letter that got sent back, right? But ostensibly, these people probably crossed paths, right? The letter was probably sent before you left Altdorf. And then you sent a letter, I think, if I remember correctly, you sent a letter back to Kislev saying that, like, hey, going on a journey, this is my general travel plans. You know, if you need to reach me, I'll be back at around this date, right?
Right.
But they cross paths, so the guy gets to Altdorf and you're not there, but he's got to deliver his letter, right? Like, that's his job. So he's ostensibly had quite a few, and I think it shows. Like, he looks very travel worn. He's probably got like a lot of. He's probably got a beard, actually. Now that I think about it, he's probably got like a full dark beard, and it looks a bit scraggly, like it hasn't been cleaned up as in a while. And you can see that the horse too looks like it's been rode pretty hard, just in general over the past few months.
So, Petrov, being the beneficent man that he is to his countrymen, have you other deliverers in town today?
I think that he looks and he says, no. Although my coin is running low, I perhaps will have to take up some jobs before I am able to make it back to the motherland.
No, it's entirely unnecessary. I can recommend excellent tavern. I think for a moment to make sure that I don't send to the one where there were demons outside recently.
Yeah, you send them to the galleon in the knoll where you guys stayed.
Exactly, and I will also. I don't know if they have the concept of tipping, but basically, I'm just going to shore up his funds. So give him like.
Yeah, it's not really the concept, but like it's probably a general practice, especially if you're receiving for you as an ambassador, to like at least pay some of the way for him to get back, right? Like that's probably a common thing. For when
Seems legit, yeah.
when you're receiving messages from like far away places, right? Because like they probably had to send him with a bunch of gold just so he could survive to deliver his message, and then if he's had all this extra journey, yeah, probably give him a tip would be advisable.
Yeah, so 15 gold ought to handle him for a long way.
Right. Yeah, and I think that he takes it graciously and he gives you like a low bow and salute, and he says, also, I am supposed to await response if there is one necessary. It's part of duties.
Yes, I expected as much. You will receive a runner from me at your tavern if anything is required.
He nods and he gives you the equivalent of a Kislev salute. And he says, very well. Peace be with you, Ambassador. May the Ice Queen watch over you.
Yes, serve gloriously.
Right, yeah, and he departs, he goes and he gets on his horse and he turns it around and begins to trot away. So you have this letter. It's heavy. It's whatever is inside of it is very, like, very thick. And it's sealed. You flip it over and it's sealed with the imperial seal of Kislev. And it definitely doesn't look like it's broken. Looks like the man did his job admirably.
Okay, I think Arkady will pocket that and return to his chambers to open it out of sight.
Sure, yeah. So you go and you maybe you light the candle in your chambers and you got this weird this cool light effect going on, and you slide your dagger or whatever you have to open up the letter underneath the wax seal, and it pops open, and you pull it out, and there's 2 letters in here, and that's why it was so kind of thick. And the first one is from a peer of yours, another ambassador, and you know her. Let me just get my notes out so I can get her name here.
Jordan actually wrote a name down.
Yeah. You know her as Ivana Popov, Popov. Ivana Popov. And she is a fellow ambassador who you know at least the last time you're ambassador, bro. Exactly.
Where was she ambassador to?
Right, that's what I was just going to mention. You know that the last time, and am I getting some feedback? Who is that? Is that
Someone's got an echo going.
Will does.
Will, you have an echo going.
Oh, you fucking Brexian monkey.
Is that better?
Okay, yeah, that's
still
better.
going?
Sorry, we're good. So it's from Ivana Popov, and you know that last you heard she was assigned to Bretonia. And yeah, that's the last you heard, is that's where she was assigned to. And
okay.
the second letter is addressed to you from your superior, who, do you have a name for whoever might be in charge of the counselor that deals with foreign affairs?
Nothing that I had specified yet.
Okay. Cool. Then let's just look up some names here. So probably, let's just say it was everything ends in a V in Russian names. It's weird.
That's how patronymics work. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Let's say it was Alcave. Counselor Alcave. And councilman probably actually is how it's worded. Councilman Alcave is the second letter that is addressed to you. Which one do you read first?
I should probably read my boss's letter first.
Sure. Yeah. So you open up the one from your boss and you unfold it. And this one is written in a tone of, and there's different probably styles of writing that you receive a lot from, or that you use a lot, right? There's the type of writing that you use when you're speaking with peers and with subordinates and with your superiors and with other higher, different higher level individuals. There's different types of speech you use.
Right.
This one is written as a peer, which is somewhat odd in the fact that he would typically write to you as a subordinate, right? But it's written to you as a peer. And as you kind of breeze through the letter, he describes to you a worsening situation in the battle against the northern wastes. He actually explains to you that the dwarves have pulled back from the lines and they are essentially holed up, and so it's allowed a lot more of the general skirmishes that occur to be much more frequent, and raiding is becoming a problem.
Those stocky bastards.
Right, and so maybe you
Don't you insult the Bronzebeards?
Right, yeah, the Bronzebeards actually live up there, believe it or not. So I think that the peer tone becomes obvious to you, that he's writing to you somewhat desperately. It's how he's conveying his desperation a little bit, in the fact that he's not trying to command you to do something. He's almost begging for you to assist them, and the way you would assist, obviously, is to bring the account to your contacts in the Empire.
So he's hoping for Imperial reinforcements.
He's hoping for a little bit of aid, because he also mentions that and I think that it's probably written a little bit in a little bit of exposition, But the line that he uses is, a cloud gathers in the west. He said, a cloud gathers in the west. Supplies from Middenheim have lessened, almost to the point of stopping. And that's like one of the lines, I think, an excerpt from the letter, which is concerning because Middenheim is the largest city that's close to Kislev and probably its main supplier for a lot of things.
I was gonna say, didn't we fix Middenheim?
I mean, yeah, kind of.
Am I misremembering, or is that Fire Giant country?
No, that was Talabheim. Listen,
Right.
people in Warhammer don't know how to name things accurately. Middenheim was the city that you started in the last campaign, or the last act.
Oh,
It's
yes.
the one that
Okay.
Jericho is from, and probably acting in under the orders of some order or another.
Okay.
Yeah, and so
does
he
it say
he
anything
explains-
about why the dwarves might have retreated?
Yeah, he probably in his letter he explains that because the fighting has gotten worse, the dwarves have, and he writes it with a little bit of disdain, I think. He says the dwarves have abandoned the lines, but more accurately, the dwarves probably have just holed up for a little while and are building, like licking their wounds, building their forces, because it's a constant battle for them. If we remember the map, if we go to the map, the dwarven cities that are up there are essentially right in the middle of the wastes, or on the actual like front lines of where the northern wastes, like across the frozen sea and whatever. They're like right in the middle of Beastman country, and then Kislev is actually a little bit farther south. And so typically what happens is like the dwarves will deal with most of the raiders and stuff that come through. There's a few that like sneak in and get down to Kislev, but in general the dwarves kind of hold it off. But when they tire, or when they have taken some licks, their option, and this is just dwarves in general, is to hole up in their cities, lick their wounds, and then go back out in force and clean up whatever happened when they were resting. So when they do that, obviously it allows a lot more of enemies to get further south.
Right.
So yeah, your boss writes it with disdain as if they've abandoned, but in general they're their own empire, right? They don't answer to they don't answer to Kislev, they don't answer to the empire. Like the dwarven king makes the decisions for them. It's not really anyone else's call. But yeah, and this is not a uncommon thing to occur. This is definitely something that has occurred before, where the dwarves have pulled back from the fight and Kislev has had to arm up a little bit more and deal with more raids and stuff. But then usually, when the dwarves are done, they'll go back to what they're doing, and everything calms down. It's very up and down kind of thing.
We really need to get some kind of schedule worked out.
Yeah.
Advance
Exactly.
warning.
Yeah, for sure. But the dwarves
Tap us in!
Right, the dwarves don't generally talk to a lot of people all the time, so that's a problem.
Okay.
But yeah, that's the general tone is like he's asking you in like a more desperate tone to ask for more aid and to bring the plight to who you can about what's going on. It's at least, and remember, I will remind you again with both of these letters, these were written a few months ago, right? Because it took the guy.
How long have I been on the road?
You guys have been on the road for, let's see here. Let me pull this up.
About 5 weeks, 6 weeks.
Yeah, you guys have been on the road for like a month and a half, I think. And in order to travel simply from Kislev to Altdorf, it takes, even by horseback as a single rider, and that's why they do it, because it's much quicker that way. And the dangers of the road. It takes about maybe 2 months on horseback, riding fairly hard.
Okay. Gotcha.
So yeah, it's
I
been
got to
it's
figure
been
out who I
perhaps-
can talk to about that.
Yeah, it's been perhaps about 3 months.
But this is, the main reason that Arkady is an ambassador to the Empire.
Yep.
We kind of require this supportive relationship.
Right, and there's a bunch of treaties and stuff that like back you guys up, like when you say, hey, we're activating X and X treaty, like we require your services for this and this, that you guys, that the Empire complies, right? Or face the thought of being beskirmished.
This is something I can probably handle then. What does Popov have to say?
So Popov, she probably uses writing that's not like official, right? It's like generally like a generally written letter to a friend. I guess I should ask, with your peers, your coworkers, quote unquote, how much communication and how much like interaction would you have with them generally? And specifically, if you want to come up with anything specific for Popov, that's fine. I have an idea in my head, but I'm not going to write somebody into your story and not ask your opinion.
No. I mean, I think Arkady would definitely want to remain in semi-regular contact, but obviously,
Sure.
I mean, Bretonia is probably a fair distance away as well, so
Yeah.
Constant letters probably don't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, you probably hear
But yeah.
from her maybe like every few months, right?
Yeah, a couple of times a year.
A couple times a year. Yeah, that sounds about right. So
Whether we have any previous history knowing each other in Kislev, I don't know.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, maybe you have, maybe you haven't. Maybe you guys trained together or like came up through the circles together, and you have like a somewhat more friendly relationship maybe than some other ambassadors. But it's good for you guys to talk too, because being from Bretonia, they have their own slew of problems that the Empire doesn't necessarily have to face, like extreme racism towards orcs. There's that thing going on, which everybody hates orcs because orcs are just brutal barbarians in this world. Anyway, but yeah, so you've probably spoken with her quite a few times, but I think that the distinctive thing is these letters came together and sealed together, which means that she has either gone back home, or for some strange reason, Alcave is writing from Bretonia, right? And I think that very quickly into the letter you realize that she says, hey, if you're getting this, it just, I'm actually back in the motherland, and she goes on to explain like the reasoning behind it. They actually pulled her out of Bretonia because there appears to be some type of possible coup happening, or like she picked up word of a strange like disturbance in the force type of scenario.
Yeah, they voted to leave the Empire. Yeah.
Well, I mean, they're not technically part of the Empire now, but maybe
I'm making a Brexit joke. Come on.
Exactly. Basically, it's true, though. You're right. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I'll give you that one.
Thank you.
And Bretonia are I mean, they're a very, if possible, they are a much more somewhat barbaric society than even the Empire. Like, it's not uncommon for knights to challenge each other to duels to the death over a woman in Bretonia. It's just a thing that occurs fairly commonly, and in the Empire, that would kind of be seen as a little bit too barbaric for society. Like, hey, let her. They'd be in the Empire. They'd be like, let her choose who she wants. Like, but yeah. So the letter is basically explaining that situation, but also, she probably gives you a little more insight onto the general feeling of Kislev itself, whereas, like, your boss's letter was generally like, here's all the shit that's happening, to give you an update. Her letter is more like, hey, there's some strange things going on. I don't know when I'm going to be reassigned or where to. But she says, like, things are not great here. It's beginning to... She says, like, luckily it's warm. It's summertime. Lucky for them. So at least the snow is not impeding things, but she said that she visited her family and they had to move them because they were a little too close to the border with all the raids and stuff going on. So she's now she's taken a leave of absence essentially to move her family into a house in the capital. So generally it's got that kind of feel to it. But I think with her letter, the big thing you get is it's not just like trying to pander for help from Kislev. Like, there's actual stuff going on where they're having to like relocate people. So whereas your boss kind of sends here's what we need, like, we need help, she kind of sends like, here's the emotional impact of what's going on in Kislev currently. Like, here's all the problems that we're dealing with, is what your boss sends, and then she sends, hey, you know, things are not looking great up here. So take that for what you will.
Well, I mean, Arkady was already convinced, but it could be useful for trying to convince other people if they remain reticent.
Right, exactly. Right. You could say, like, hey, here's the orders I've received, but here's an account from somebody who is actually there and what we're having to do. Like, here's how it's affecting our people, not just here's how, you know, here's the problem we have. You know, you could perhaps play to somebody's sympathies a little bit more with that. Cool.
Okay, sounds good. So, I mean, obviously, Petrov sees this one as okay. It's a high priority for him. Got to save the motherland, so he's going to need to contact people, call in whatever treaties we've got for that.
Sure.
It's also an opportunity for Morella to maybe get some notice as somebody who's actually helping to deal with international problems that are in the Empire's interests, and, you know...
Brownie points to Kislev.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, because as you'll recall, Kislev is the barrier between the Empire and the Northern
Oh, I am
West.
well aware.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
and that's why they have all these treaties and why they keep them so friendly, is because if the Empire had to deal with all that shit on top of all the, like, you know, undead shit and all the other weird shit going on in the Empire, they'd have a problem.
Trust me, Arkady has several speeches prepared if anybody tries to slow them down on this.
Right, yeah, exactly. Cool, awesome. Well, while you contemplate that, you guys want to take a little break? Like 8-minute break?
I mean, I suppose I need another glass of Jack and Coke because I spilled mine earlier.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
I could take
Oh,
a
Morella's going to be so easy to convince.
Cool, yeah. So let's go ahead and take another break. We'll be back at 8:20 Eastern Standard, which is in 8 minutes for those of you not on EST.
Sure.
I'm gonna meet you guys. Still love you though. Actually, we're taking a quick break. We'll be back in a second. It's not actually time for Siege. Hold on.